Word, son. What do you do, YouTube? It's your boy, Divine. All right, man, before we get into this video, make sure to hit the like button, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the links, because you know how I do. If you haven't already, when you hit the subscribe button, click the bell icon to be notified every time I upload. Without further ado, let's get up into it. All right, man, so if y'all caught any of the live streams last weekend or the previous weekend, you saw that I was live streaming Undisputed Boxing, or Esports Boxing Club, or ESBC as they were formerly known as. So they finally released the beta, and I was one of the ones that they allowed access to have along with other people. And throughout the weekend they had a closed beta of online multiplayer, and they was trying to test the infrastructure for the online servers. So they wanted everybody to give their reviews or whatever, and I feel like what I'm going to say isn't able, well, I'll be there for hours and hours trying to put down what I want to say on the Steam joint. So I'm gonna go ahead and just make a video showcasing what I'm talking about here. So without further ado, man, let's get up into it. If you haven't already, sit back, chill, take a peek, pause the video. You know how I do, yeah. But anyway, so let's get up into it. So first things first, man, I gotta say the buttons need more responsiveness. I found myself at a lot of times where, like, you know, I found myself using the right stick more than I was using the buttons. You know, if I'm trying to throw a jab, or if I'm trying to throw an uppercut, sometimes they wouldn't throw it. Or if I'm trying to throw a jab straight, or if I'm trying to throw it straight, sometimes it wouldn't do it. Or if I try to throw anything remotely of an uppercut or anything like that, which, you know, you need to push two buttons together, which is X and A, or if you're on PlayStation controller, you know, square and X, you know what I mean? Or the two respective buttons to throw an uppercut, sometimes they wouldn't respond, you know what I mean? Or if I'm leaning back, or if I'm doing something that requires the animation before the animation, sometimes it wouldn't queue up, or sometimes it just wouldn't respond, you know what I mean? So sometimes the buttons wouldn't react, but I would ask that we get some more responsiveness with the buttons, and it might have something to do with the animations and frames and stuff like that, which I think also that's something that should be also addressed in future updates in the title. But hopefully they use this time to try to fix that. Different controller layouts would be a great thing also, if they had a way to give you different types of controls that you're more accustomed to. Like, I know some people said they wanted more of a UFC 4 control scheme. If they want that, they could put that in there. Don't know how that's going to pan out. Or for the fans of Fight Night, if they want a Fight Night-esque control scheme, they allow something like that, you know what I mean? The one, like I said, what everybody's more accustomed to. Or if not that, then you can add a custom controller layout. So those are things that you could also add in there to make that benefit a little bit more. Next thing, combinations need to be more fluid. Now, this goes back to my whole responsiveness thing. So I saw that a lot of the times where I was in these matches, and some of the times I felt like I could really combinate with something, but it literally looked like I was spamming shots. Now, some of the times where I was trying to like escape, I found myself using, when I was backing up, was using the straight, you know what I'm saying? And I was realizing how effective it was getting me out of the way. You might see it a couple times in this here match. So, you know, I was doing stuff like that, and some of the times where I see the guy just standing there, I know I can get a couple of good shots off, but again, with me trying to use the buttons, sometimes it just wasn't allowing me to be able to throw combinations consistently, because it's almost like the animation have to play out first, and then once that animation is done, then you can throw the other one. Or the only way that you can get that other one off is if you throw a feint, which is, you know, you canceling out the punch, which you just press the button, you press said button that you want to throw, and then you hold R2 or right trigger to block, which is called a feint, and you could throw something else in succession with that because you canceled out the animation. But it's almost like the animations have to be played out all the way first for said punch or said shot, whatever it is you're trying to throw, and then it has to, once that's done, then you can throw the other one. But a lot of the times when I'm sitting back and I'm trying to throw these shots, I'm realizing that, like I said, these animations got to be played out first. Now, if you've played other boxing games, you know that sometimes you can throw them fluidly behind one another. In Undisputed, I didn't feel like I was able to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes these animations could become a little bit overwhelming at times, and I feel like, you know, it's turning into like the same combat style as UFC 4. Me personally, I don't like UFC 4. I don't like the whole frame limiting, or it's got to be a certain amount of frames to do this. It's got to be X, Y, and Z frames. I don't like that. I just want fluid, free-flowing combat. Now, of course, you know, pay a penalty if you happen to use too much of your stamina. I understand that part. But like I said, at the same exact time, you have to make sure that these animations aren't a one at a time thing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's all I'm saying with the combination. So they can be a little bit more fluid. Stamina attacks on slipping, sidestepping in, anything that requires that, or you could say etc. I was seeing that a couple fights that I had, there was this one guy who was spamming the slipping mechanic, whether he was ducking or he was back going to the side, left or right, or if he was not backing up, but leaning back trying to slip. I was noticing he was doing that consistently and there was no stamina attacks. Those things you have to incorporate. You have to incorporate stamina. And at the same exact time, there needs to be an animation, or there needs to be a definite change in fighter behavior when his stamina is low and he's trying to do those things. Like, of course he should be slower, that's one. But two, at the same exact time, there should be a difference in animations when he's trying to slip and all this other stuff, and yet his stamina is like super low, or it might be drained, whichever one. But there definitely needs to be a stamina tax on that. Next thing, bobbing and weaving needs more range of motion. Now, this is kind of a little iffy, because there was a few fights where I was fighting in technique and fighting in loose. Now, to fight in loose, you had to press the D-pad up. And when you press the D-pad up, he was more like floaty, light on his feet, dancing around almost like in the same essence of Ali, you know what I mean? So I was noticing how in technique, I was realizing that this guy was leaning back, like Arturo Gatti was leaning back, but only so far, and it felt limiting, because the guy was still able to throw hooks, and he was still able to throw hooks and uppercuts at my head, not necessarily uppercuts, but hooks, and it's almost like I couldn't get out of the way of him entirely, you know what I'm saying? They were still landing, and I really feel like, there should be a wider range of motion depending on said either stats or stamina, you know what I mean? Now loose, I don't know, it seemed like I had a little bit more range of motion on loose when I was fighting with that style versus technical or technique, whatever you want to call it. So I don't know, that might be because they put that into the loose style of a boxer versus technical. I don't know, but if that's not the case, then there needs to be more range of motion, and like I said, either stats and or stamina rating not rating stamina, but stamina bar could also play an effect of that too. So definitely we got to keep that in mind. Ragdoll knockdowns, love them, but they need to have less animation. I got one knockdown, and the one knockdown that I did get in this game, which I didn't download all of my lives, so forgive me for that, but probably tomorrow I'll upload a ragdoll knockout that I got. I think it's one in this one at the end, I'm not sure, but anyway, I'll upload them both tomorrow. But anyway, so the ragdoll knockouts, they're cool. I'm glad that there's ragdoll in them. But when you catch somebody with a shot, or he's rocked and you're trying to walk him down and you're looking for the KO, you can't have these guys get hit and then he starts buckling down into a shot till he hits the ground, then it's ragdoll. Like, no, like that's not how boxing works. You know what I'm saying? If I catch you with a shot, depending on wherever you're at, like you're going limp. You know what I'm saying? Like that's just what it is. You're going limp. Now, flash KO, you could probably say that's the time that he's gonna go limp and he'll fall or whatever, but I want to see less animation. I want to see I want to see ragdoll knockouts in the style of UFC 2. Not that wonky flipping, falling over, but just the ragdoll, the weight of the body. You know what I'm saying? Like, it needs to be more natural. Not this, we're going to drive it with animation 50 or 75%, and then the other 25% we're going to use ragdoll when they hit the floor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not really a big fan of that. So the ragdolls need to be more ragdoll, but at the same time, be more realistic. But all the animations in the beginning, we have got to cut away from that. You know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, not all the time, a guy's going to get hit with a shot and he's just slowly buckling down. Like, there should be a lot more ragdolls than animations on KOs. So definitely look into that. Punches need more stamina. Punches against players or boxers that have lower stamina need more damage. Now, anytime I fought against somebody and they had lower stamina, especially when we were in close range, I was rocking them with uppercuts, and there were strong uppercuts on the inside. But with his stamina being lower, it just seems like my boxer just wasn't able to inflict that pain on him. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to have to resort to power punches on the inside in order to actually inflict damage how I want. You know what I mean? So with that being said, just look into more of punches having more damage or carrying more damage on players who have less stamina than others, or if your stamina is depleted, or if your stamina is wearing down, them punches should have a lot more effect to them. So definitely also look into that. The blocking needs to be a little more effective. Now on here, I understand what route you guys are taking with blocking, so I'm not saying that it needs to be 100% effective, like it needs to be a brick house. No. What I'm saying is blocking needs to be a little bit more tighter, because it's just like you just have the guy's hands up in front of his face and he's not attempting to block anything. Now I know in the control scheme, whenever y'all put the control scheme out, it says something along blocker movement or boxer blocker movement or something like that. I tried that with the right stick because it said right trigger and right stick. I tried that. I didn't really see any difference. You know what I'm saying? The only thing I knew of was to block high and low. So as far as blocking goes, there needs to still be a way to have tighter blocking. You know what I'm saying? Because I could block some shots, but then again, some shots were still coming in. Now, again, that is realistic because not all shots are going to be blocked. You have some that will still slip in. So I appreciate the simulation aspect to it. I appreciate that. I appreciate the stance that you guys are taking on that. But blocking needs to be a little bit more effective. It shouldn't feel like I'm just holding the button and just hoping for the best and hope that these shots are going to get blocked, but instead my guy just has his hands up and they slipping in like crazy. Even when I add head movement at times, the shots still come in and it's wild. So blocking definitely needs to be a little bit more effective. Combat. So let's look at combat for a second. Punches need to be thrown with more intention. Now I say this because I noticed that a lot of the times when I'm throwing these shots, they don't have any accuracy to them. You know what I'm saying? Like everything is just, if your head is right there, I'm going to hit it. If you move out of the way or you move your head, then you know you're not going to land that shot. Now I understand that is definitely boxing. I get that. You want to be on the move. You want to protect yourself at all times. You want to slip, bob, weave, get out of the way, whatever it is you got to do. I understand that. But however, there are times where I watched a hook be thrown, and I've thrown a hook. I've seen so many looping hooks in this game, it's ridiculous. These punches, when they're thrown, they're not thrown with accuracy. They're just thrown because that's what the animation or whoever mocapped it, that's how they want it to be. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no different variations of hooks. You know what I'm saying? There's no different variations of jabs. Or like I said, it might be a little different if you go from technical to balance, but even from a technical standpoint, it needs to be more technical. It needs to be more reserved. It needs to be more accurate from a technical standpoint. I can understand if I'm in a loose fight style and he's just throwing wild looping hooks, I can understand that. But if I'm in technical, it needs to have more accuracy versus loose. You see what I'm saying? So definitely do that. Contextual punches. I was talking to somebody in my stream and I was talking about how the punches just there's not enough contextual punches. Now I will say this, the whole like let's say we're close range again, right? Now if we're close up and we're making it do what it do, right? Now, when I'm close up on you and I'm trying to throw these said punches, right? I've been in close range with guys and I'm trying to throw a hook and the hook is just a looping hook. You know what I'm saying? Now, at the same time, the only contextual punch that I've seen was when I'm trying to throw a jab and he throws a short hook on the inside. Now, the thing that I don't like about that is you have to leave that in the button that corresponds to throwing hooks. When I'm throwing a jab on the inside, I'm throwing a jab for a reason. I'm throwing a jab to lead into something strong. You know what I'm saying? You see tons of fighters do it. You see Tank Davis do it. You've seen Haney do it. You've seen Shakur Stevenson do it. You've seen Canelo do it. You've seen Triple G, Lomachenko, you name it. All the popular boxers have done it. You've seen Tyson do it. You've seen who else? Insert boxer here. You've seen them all do it. You know what I'm saying? So when I'm close up on a guy, I'm looking to try to, you know, just tap a jab on him. You know what I'm saying? Not looking to be effective with it, but just something that can lead me into a stronger shot versus me just throwing a strong shot off rip because it doesn't come out smoother or it's not as quick. If I just throw that shot alone, it's not as fast. But if I lead lead with a jab, like a little pitter pat of a jab, or whether I'm trying to just touch him with a jab, that's all I'm doing is touching him. I'm not trying to look to be effective with the jab and stop him. Like, no, I'm throwing that to lead into something. You know what I'm saying? But instead, when I'm throwing a jab, you have me throwing a short hook. Leave that to the button input. Leave that to the hooks. If I want a hook when I'm close up, throw a short hook when I'm close. If I'm far out, if I'm in mid range, or if I'm at length with him, then throw the looping hook. But if I'm close up, then when I press hook, give me the short hook. But if I'm looking for a jab or straight on the inside, then give me the jab or straight. That's the punch that I want. Don't tie that into the jabs, because when I first started doing it, I'm like, whoa, why is he throwing a hook? I didn't ask for a hook. You know what I'm saying? And neither in your control scheme does it say anything about throwing a short hook with using the jab or straight button. It didn't say nothing about that. So leave that to the hooks. You know what I'm saying? Uppercuts, it was kind of the same thing. There was a difference between like with the uppercuts. I'll give you an example. When I was close in on a guy, I was able to throw short uppercuts. When I was farther out, you saw there was a difference in the uppercuts. You know what I'm saying? And that's only when I pressed the uppercut button. Only when I did that. But however, when I'm close up and I'm trying to throw hooks, it's only looping hooks. But if I want a short hook, I gotta hit the jab or straight button to get a short hook. No, tie that back into the hooks button input. Tie that into that. Leave the jabs and straights where they are. Let's see what's next on the list. Jabs need to be a little bit more technical, and I say this because several times I have thrown a jab in this game, and like I said, between technical and loose. In the technical standpoint of it, the jab doesn't seem like it doesn't seem like a real technical jab. Like when they're throwing a jab, they're just only throwing it from their stance. Like there's no leaning forward and twisting their shoulder or twisting their arm. You know what I'm saying? Because if you look at boxing videos, right? If they show you how to throw a jab, it's hard to explain it. You have to watch a video on it. But however, like, just work with me here. But when you're throwing a jab, when you throw a jab, you got your hands up. When they tell you to throw a jab, you keep both your hands up. But when you're throwing a jab, you extend. Like when you extend, you twist and turn. Like you twist your arm, you twist your shoulder when you're throwing a jab. Same thing with a straight, same thing. But when they're throwing a jab or a straight in this game, I think the straight might have a little bit more technique to it, but whatever. But when they're throwing a jab, they're just throwing it based off of where their hands are. If their hands are up, they're just throwing the jab straight like that. There's no twisting. They're not twisting their shoulder. They're not doing nothing. It's just a rock'em sock'em like jab. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no flair to it. You know what I'm saying? There's no punctuality to it, if that's a word. You know what I mean? Like the jab needs to have more technique to it. Now in the loose fight style, I saw that, the jabs were a little bit more like a flicker jab. You know what I'm saying? Like they were more of a Muhammad Ali-esque type jab. That's what, like I said, it's probably a flicker jab. But it's more of that. You know what I'm saying? So I actually like that. I actually like the fight style more on the loose side of it than the technical, because the technical just didn't seem like it was technical enough. You know what I mean? And it seems at time like you can't really throw double jabs and triple jabs, because some of the times when I'm walking in, I want to walk in with a jab. Like, you know what I'm saying? I want to walk in with a double jab, because I know the first one is just it's to zip up room. That's what I want to do. The second one, which I'm looking for the second one to land, but however, that second one is the setup for the third shot I'm getting ready to throw. Or if I want to just use the double jab, just the first one to get close, and then the second one to throw a jab and land that's what I want to do. But in this build of the beta, I wasn't able to do that. Everything was like you had to like plant your feet. You had to be there in front. Like you had to be that. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no like, everything had to be forward. There was no, if you bounce to the left and you try to throw a jab, there was none of that. Like everything had to be, if you were moving to the left, they stopped you and moved you forward for a jab. If you were moving to the right, they stopped you and then you pop forward for a jab. You know what I'm saying? But then again, that could lead into the whole loose versus technical thing. But for the technical aspect, the jabs need to be a little bit more technical. I don't want to see this just this rock'em sock'em like jab. Like I want to see him be able to twist that shoulder when he's throwing it, twist the shoulder when he's throwing it. You know what I'm saying? Like look at any of the boxing instructing videos and they teach you how to throw a jab. I need to see more of that in Undisputed. Let's see. One last thing, the hooks also need more technique to them. Like it's way too much of this looping, way too many looping jabs. I need to see more hooks. I need to see more consistent textbook hooks. You know what I'm saying? I guess this is what I'm looking for. Textbook. I need to see more textbook, more textbook jabs, hooks, uppercuts. I need to see more of that. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to see this rock'em sock'em wild. I don't want to see that. You know what I'm saying? I need to see more textbook shots. For hooks, I need to see more textbook, especially if you're in a technical fight stance. You need to have more technique and more textbook-esque throws. Now I understand that not all the time they're going to be perfect, but at the same as that time, you're striving to remain in your technique, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to win. If you pit a street fighter against a boxer, the street fighter is going to lose 100 times out of 100. And I say this because it's not necessarily that he's stronger than him, he's quicker than him. No, it's technique. A street fighter don't have technique. They swing wild, they do all this, that, and the third. Street fighter don't have no technique. Boxing, a boxer has technique. If he stays true to his technique, if he's sharp with it, he's gonna beat the street fighter every single time. Same thing with jiu-jitsu, same thing with karate, same thing with taekwondo. It's all about technique. That's why I need to see more in these punches. I need to see more technique. I need to be more textbook. Now, again, if you flip to the loose fight style, then we're talking about something totally different here. But either way, in the technical aspect of it, you need to have more technique, more textbook-esque throws. Again, I understand it's not going to be perfect every time, but I'm not looking for perfect. I just need it to be textbook, and then we can go at it from there. Whether I get hit with it, whether I get hit at the same as that time and me throwing it, whether he throws the same side as me and we collide, or whatever the case is, but I need to see more technique. No more of this looping, no more of this rock'em sock'em robot type shots. No more of that. We need more technique. But yeah, man, I'm going to get up out of here, man. Appreciate a lot of support y'all for showing the videos, man. Most definitely. Let me know what y'all think in the comment section down below. Shout out to SCI, man. I really appreciate y'all, man, for allowing your boy to test out the beta build of Undisputed. I can't wait for early access, man. I'm definitely going to be out there again. If they ever have an opportunity to showcase it again, I'm definitely signing up. But yeah, I had a great time, man. Appreciate a lot of support y'all for showing the videos, man. Most definitely going to get up out of here. Make sure to like button, comment, subscribe, share the word, spread the links, because you know how I do. But I'm going to get up out of here, man. It's your boy Jay Divine, and I'm signing out. Peace.